Okay, Terry, the next person, please.
Oh, no, he called the next person.
I was just calling the next person. Thank you very much.
Carl Berkholder.
Good evening. I came here prepared to talk, as I usually do, about the problem in ordinance enforcement and assimilation, but I'm always concerned about the act that I follow, and I have to say I'm extremely impressed by the children and the mixed nature of the background of the people in Carpentersville, and I think it's these children that Carpentersville is all about. And I wanted to comment on the apparent softness of the board and the police department's approach to the ordinance enforcement, but I also noted from the previous meeting that the board got right on the gentleman's complaint about noisy neighbors and problems with his neighbors, and I was just wondering, why does it take 3 years for me to get results? And and I think I might have an explanation as to how I approached it. For me, I think I recognize the absolute hostility and aggression on the part of my neighbors in producing the noise. And it's like being attacked in the middle of the night by a burglar who beats you up in the middle of the night and leaves. And I also had no support, because actually I may have run into at least, maybe I can count a half dozen of people who were more or less working together and supporting each other. And the unauthorized rental back behind me that got busted and selling drugs, I think that kind of opened up that was not an Hispanic situation. It was a non-Hispanic situation, but the same kind of antisocial behavior. I think in part what brings this problem to Carpentersville is the low-cost mortgages that bring in people that just don't have that much invested in their being here or in getting along. Matter of fact, it may have been, I recognize, in their better interest to have me move out because they get a friend in and do the same darn thing, take over. I recognize that. I'm sorry if I mentioned that as a personal issue or made it too tough for maybe some people to realize, and that part is what you're facing. But I think that what I'm concerned about is when I went over and talked to the neighbors about the drug dealing and their reluctance not to report what they were doing. That makes it a more serious kind of thing. It's not my personal problem. It's a Carpentersville problem. And I'm not so sure why those people don't report it, because when I had drug dealing next door, same house, I reported it, and the police did something about it right away. Okay, so that's kind of a difference. I have a feeling that in my situation, I only had one neighbor that was supportive of me, and they were afraid to come in and complain. The neighbor who did get effect had two other neighbors who came in and supported him. I was alone, basically. The neighbors who did support me suffered from high blood pressure, and were unable to come in and say anything because they just get sick. Otherwise, I had a half a dozen neighbors who were working together, and I was there alone. And I really initially didn't get kind of the response I wanted from community development, because they were going to go along with it. So I was kind of up against it. Thank God the police department were nice and didn't leave me down at the Eckert Center, because I did make a better recovery. And I thank Mr. Sardo for helping me out too. But that's the way it goes. I hope you realize that it may be a problem. I'm speaking in part on behalf of the children who requested a neighborhood watch program, because if indeed there are neighbors who are reluctant to report criminal activity and this sort of thing, then the board has a problem, not me. And I recognize that very much. There may be retaliation. Also, I got chewed out by the fellow that did get the results about his house. He said, you got to multiply yourself and send out a petition. He did about the lousy roads. Okay, that's roads. That makes the board the bad guys. But to complain about your neighbors, that makes your neighbors out to be the bad guys. And that's a psychological picture of a different horse. You see what I'm saying? And this is what I was working on. And that's very difficult, to get neighborhood support and to get board support, because these are voters too. So there's a lot of resistance to making it safe and secure for, also lastly, I see a difference between the newer member of the community who are kind of fly by night and have large supportive family groups. They're younger versus the older, more established homeowners. and there's an age difference, there's an economic difference, and these young, studs go around these hot cars and they don't care who they annoy. As a matter of fact, it's their presence to do so. It's cultural, and it has nothing to do with race because it's cross-culture. I've seen it in Chicago and everywhere I've been. Okay, hope we get some progress on the noise ordinance and better ordinance enforcement. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.